All right, welcome in. We are here live. It is the Flex or Fade, and it's week 9. We're going to get into the start sits, of course. I'm joined by Al Hunter. What's up, baby? How you doing? Did the daylight savings time confuse you at all? I was worried about that.
I hate that, man. Getting dark early is the worst thing in the world. So, yeah, it confused me a little bit.
John
Yeah.
Oliver has a great little bit on daylight savings time and why it shouldn't exist
It
anymore.
shouldn't exist, man. It's just stupid.
And everyone thinks it's because of farmers, and it's actually not.
Yeah, we're past that.
Yeah, we're way past.
It's 2019. Let's be real.
Let's get up to date on this. I just want to show this awesome graphic made by our team over at Expand the Box Score. We are here every week for you, providing your start sit. So drop in the questions, come say hi, and just have a good time with us every Sunday. So let's get right into it. So we got the Eagles and Bears, and I just saw a notification Deshaun Jackson is playing. Do you care, Al? I mean, obviously it's the Chicago Bears, but the last time we saw Deshaun Jackson, he lit up the Redskins. So are you playing Deshaun Jackson?
No, I'm not playing Deshaun Jackson, but it worries me that they're going to cut down on their 2 tight end sets, and Ertz and Goddard are really priced friendly. So it worries me a little bit, but I still think Goddard is viable, and I still think Ertz is viable. Goddard's run 36 routes the last 2 weeks. Ertz has ran 57, and Dallas has scored 14 DK points per game in his last 2, and he scored a touchdown in each game. So I think he's viable at 3,100, considering how bad tight end is this week. So
I think that Deshaun Jackson's going to help Ertz a little bit. Ertz is so underpriced right now that you have to peak, especially if you think that the Bears are going to be locked down on these receivers. But speaking of the receivers, Alshon Jeffrey revenge game. I mean, what do you think about Alshon? The Bears have been really good against receivers, unless there's like a garbage time situation in which their teams are coming from behind. I don't think I see it like that in this game. I don't know if Mitch Trubisky is going to be able to take advantage of the Eagles' defense. So I think it's going to be kind of like a slower paced game.
Yeah, if you're thinking it's a slower paced game, then you should go with Jordan Howard revenge, not Alshon Jeffrey, which is the way I'm leaning. That the Eagles are going to be ahead and they're going to run the clock out. So that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like that too. I think Trubisky can be like a flyer today. I actually think he could be a sneaky kind of play where he's very cheap for you. You have to look at the Eagles defense as something to exploit. I mean, they're dead last in the league, I do believe, against wide receivers. No, that actually goes to the Texans. So the Eagles are 31st in the league to wide receivers. So Allen Robinson, to me, is a great play. I love his price on DraftKings. So I'm playing a lot of Allen Robinson. That's probably the most play I have in this matchup.
Yeah, like you said, Philly is just terrible against wide receivers. And despite Mitch playing awful, A-Rob is averaging 22 DK points per game in his last 3. So I definitely think he's viable, even though he is kind of priced up. I still think he's viable in this matchup.
Definitely priced up. I'm looking at A-Rob and I'm looking at Tyler Lockett as like my 2 guys that I'm rocking with this week. I just love the target share that they're getting. And they're in good spots this week for sure.
Absolutely.
Before we move on to the next game, we have a question here from TS. I don't know what's going on with TS. But Thielen or Tyrell Williams for wide receiver 2 and Eckler or Jalen Samuels for the flex.
All right. The first one I'm going to say Jalen Samuels over Eckler. Absolutely. Jalen Samuels is a lock today.
Yeah.
The second one is a little tougher. What do you think about the second one?
Well, now if we're talking about season long, if it's Eckler or Jalen Samuels, I would argue that Eckler is playable over Jalen Samuels. Now, if we're talking about DFS, you play Jalen Samuels for the price. But if he's talking season long, I think Eckler is in a good spot today. I think you keep riding that. But you're right. The amount of volume that Samuels should get today should warrant a very good fantasy day. I still think that Eckler is viable in that. So I would actually go Eckler. I would lean Eckler. And then the first one, man, that's tough. You go Thielen.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would ride Thielen.
Yeah,
with him active,
right. Yeah, I mean, you still treat him as a wide receiver 1 every week. So he's in a good spot this week. No, I would go Thielen over Tyrell 100%.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that game. Let's talk about the Chiefs and the Vikings. So no Patrick Mahomes. I really do believe that, first of all, Dalvin Cook, yes. Yes, Dalvin Cook. You pay up for Dalvin Cook. I'm looking at Alexander Madison again. And the Chiefs have just been so bad against the running back. And I was gonna say, I'm fading Alexander Madison. Anything, I don't want anything to do with him at that price, 5,000 on DraftKings. But without Patrick Mahomes, you have to think it's going to be a different kind of game, and a game that the Vikings are more likely to control. I do believe that Alexander Madison is actually a sneaky play this week.
I tend to disagree with them on the road. I kind of think it'll be a more competitive game. If Alexander Madison gets involved, it's more in like a home blowout. That's the way I look at it. And I feel like this game's going to be more competitive in Arrowhead. And like you said, Kansas City's been terrible against running backs. They've allowed the most DK points per game to the position, and they rank 30th in rush DVOA, but they rank 4th in pass DVOA. So the way to beat them is on the ground.
100%.
Yeah, and Dalvin's second in the NFL in fantasy points per snap, and his snaps should be up if this game is tight. I mean, the spread's only 5.5 in favor of Minnesota. So I think this game's going to be more competitive, and I think it's a Dalvin Cook game for sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to sound crazy. I actually like, of the Chiefs wide receivers, of course, you can play Tyreek Hill. You can feel comfortable with that, even with Matt Moore, and even with not the best matchup. Xavier Rhodes hasn't been playing great. Trey Waynes has actually been the better corner this year for the Vikings. So I don't think it really matters with Tyreek. You just need one play. So I think you could feel okay about him. But I actually like Sammy Watkins this week, $4,900 on DraftKings. He's disappointed for the most part, like he always does in his career. I saw a crazy stat. In his last 10 of those games are double-digit fantasy points, something like that. He hasn't been reliable. But we saw that Matt Moore was targeting him a lot. He was used underneath. I think he can be up there in 6 or 7 receptions in this game. And if he gets you a touchdown, you're going to feel good about it.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, he's reasonably priced considering like how tough the pricing is this week on DraftKings. This is one of the toughest weeks, I think, so far this year. The pricing, everybody's priced up considerably. And $4,900 doesn't really reflect Sammy Watkins' upside. And real quick, back to Dalvin Cook. He's scoring 28 DK points per game on the road, which is 3 more points than when he's at home this season. So that kind of plays into the more, when they're on the road, it's more competitive factor. So I think Dalvin all day.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that Mahomes would play in this game so we can get the inside with Dalvin Cook in the passing game a little bit more. I don't know how much they're going to use him that way, but he's still viable for 3 or 4 receptions. Kirk Cousins, you playing him? You playing him in DFS this week?
No, like I said, I think the way to attack the Chiefs is on the ground. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I like that. And, Cousins scares me in road games, especially like in this environment. The Kansas City Chiefs could actually be a sneaky defense this week, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and going into Arrowhead is never easy. So
it's never easy. That environment is always crazy. So you would have to think that it's going to be more of the Chiefs would prefer to be more of a defensive game more than ever without Mahomes.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think Matt Moore is bad at his price either, $4,800. Considering like his weapons, I don't think he's that bad.
Okay, little Matt Moore.
Yeah.
So Steelers Colts, this one's interesting to me. Deontay Johnson, man, like I'm going to keep riding him. I think that he's still very underpriced, and it seems like Mason Rudolph favors him a little bit more than Juju. So if you want to pay up for Juju, I would just pay down and get Deontay Johnson. Not that it's the best matchup, but I think that you can keep riding Johnson in this week. Jalen Samuels smashed $4,000 though.
Yeah. Like I keep saying, this week is really tough with pricing, so I feel like you have to lock Jalen Samuels in. I mean, he should get 20-plus touches, and at $4,000, that's hard to really avoid this week. And Deontay Johnson is averaging 9.3 DK points per game when Mason Rudolph is playing quarterback. So I think that's pretty solid considering his price.
Yeah, the one game he had was the game that Rudolph missed in that time frame.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think he's bad at 4,500 either.
T.Y. Hilton is out. You looking at any of these Colts receivers?
No, I'm not looking at the Colts receivers, but I think Jack Doyle is pretty solid at his price at 3,000. The Steelers have allowed the 8th most DK points per game to tight ends, and Jack Doyle has played 74% of the snaps the last 4 games. So I don't think he's bad at $3,000 if you want to punt the position.
That's good call. Ebron's banged up. He is playing in the game. I thought that Doyle was going to be a lock if Ebron were going to miss time. Still do like Doyle in this.
And they should play more 2 tight end sets without Hilton. So it's kind of good for Ebron and Jack Doyle, but I think Jack Doyle is more viable.
Yeah, I agree with that. In the game that T.Y. Hilton missed, Eric Ebron had a 48-yard touchdown in that game. That was his only catch. But again, they need to find the big play somewhere.
Yeah.
It could be Paris Campbell, but that's just a dart throw.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, more reliability with the tight ends there.
For sure.
Another question here: Dak or Rodgers this week? I was thinking Dak, but I like Rodgers a lot. Yeah, that's close. That's really close for me. And I don't have my rankings in front of me, but I would say that Rodgers is the hot hand, but he's going to be on the road. Cowboys just have a great matchup there, so I would lean Dak, but just by a little bit.
Yeah, I might go Dak too, going against the Giants. I mean, the Giants' defense is just terrible, and Dak has exposed really good matchups this year. So, but I don't blame anyone for going to Rodgers with Devontae Adams active either. But like you said, I would go Dak by a hair.
Yeah, I would go Dak, and you have the opportunity for the rushing touchdown in a Sunday night environment. I think that Dak is going to be able to, I mean, we've seen games where Dak goes crazy and throws for 400 yards. So and Daniel Jones has been in games where it's like shootout type situations. This could happen. This could be a shootout type of game. I think that the Cowboys have the better defense, and that's not really where they want things to go, but you never know. I think that's more likely to be a shootout type situation than the Chargers-Packers game.
Yeah, I agree on that too.
One of my favorite games of today's slate is actually Lions and Raiders. I'm playing a lot of Lions. I'm playing a lot of Matthew Stafford, Kenny Galladay, and I love Danny Amendola today.
Yeah, I like Danny Amendola too. Where's he at? He's played 70% of the snaps the last 2 games, and he's seen 8 and 11 targets, and he's scoring 19.5 DK points per game. So that's pretty solid considering DraftKings is a full point PPR system. So he's someone that just catches balls, and going against Oakland that has given up the 6th most DK points per game to wide receivers. I think it's solid, and the total of this game is one of the highest of the week at 51. It's actually tied with Seattle and Tampa Bay now as the highest total of the week. So I think Danny Amendola absolutely at his price.
Yeah, like you said, Raiders giving up the 6th most fantasy points, period, to wide receivers this year. So that's where you can beat them. I think it's going to happen. On the other side, Josh Jacobs is in a good spot. The Lions are pretty poor against the run. I believe they're 3rd in fantasy points, giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to running back position. Josh Jacobs is in a really good spot.
Yeah, he's just someone that just gets the volume, man. You do worry about the game script. If it gets away from them, he's not going to be involved because he doesn't catch passes. But Oakland's actually favored in this game, aren't they? Yeah, they're 2.5 point favorites. So I mean,
really?
Yeah, they are.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is very surprising. I'm very into that. I would go Oakland or I would go the Detroit on that.
Yeah, so the time to attack Josh Jacobs is always when they're favored, and if they get ahead, he's going to get all the touches and garner all the yards. So I think so with them favored, yeah.
Anytime we talk about the Jets and the Dolphins, independently, we're move on from the game. But I think that you can play a lot of Jets, and I'm actually liking Le'Veon Bell today.
Yeah, I like Le'Veon, especially after he had that meeting with Gase about him getting involved more. So I think his price is reasonable, and I like Darnold. I mean, $5,900 is a little expensive for Darnold considering how bad he's been playing.
Right.
He should be cheaper, but Miami is easily the worst defense in the NFL. They're the worst rated pass defense in the league, and Darnold has faced some tough matchups this season going against the Pats, Buffalo, Jacksonville. But one of his slightly positive matchups going against the Cowboys, who are 19th in DVOA, he scored 23 DK points. So we know he can expose a good matchup. So I think Darnold's viable, and I think Robbie Anderson's definitely viable. In that one matchup against the Cowboys, like I was saying, when they exposed one good matchup, he caught 5 of 8 targets for 125 yards and a TD, so 26.5 DK points. So like I said, they can expose a good matchup, and I think stacking Darnold and Robbie Anderson is definitely viable.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I was looking at the Jets receivers. I was like, all right, which ones do I play? Jamison Crowder, maybe. I just played Le'Veon Bell. I just ended up playing Bell.
That's fair.
He's going to get the targets too. There's actually a prop out right now. Over under is 4.5 for his receptions. I actually took the over. I think that he's going to be used a lot. And, based on the past couple of weeks, you would say that's probably a stretch. But, I think they can get back to feed him the ball based on that meeting, like you said. And based on the matchup, I think that he's just going to get a lot of work today.
Yeah, no matter how bad your team is, you're viable against the Dolphins. Let's be real.
100%. That's what we've learned this year.
Yeah, so let's be. Yeah. And Herndon's active too. I don't know how much he's going to play. I saw something out that he might not even play at all.
Right.
But, I mean, he's only $4,000 if you want to take a deep flyer.
Ryan Griffin's been playing well, so I mean, they have every reason to let Ryan Griffin get snaps.
Exactly, I agree. So,
yeah. Seahawks Buccaneers. I'm definitely interested in this game. You gotta like Tyler Lockett. You gotta like Russell Wilson. Chris Carson. You just play him every week because he's getting the volume, he's getting the production, and he's getting touchdowns. There's no reason not to play Chris Carson.
I kind of think there is a reason not to play Chris Carson. I mean, Tampa Bay is the best run defense in the NFL. They rank first in rush DVOA, but they're 26 in pass. So I think this is a chance for the Seahawks to like really attack them through the air. Tampa Bay has allowed the 7th most DK points per game to quarterbacks. So I think this is a great spot for Russ. And in his last 2 games with a total over 50, the total of this game is 51 now. Russ is averaging 28 DK points per game. So I think this is a good time to stack Lockett and Russ. And I think Chris Carson might get bottled up. He might fall into a touchdown, but I don't know if he's going to have any upside this week.
No, it's a great call, honestly. And yeah, I definitely see it playing out that way where he might get a touchdown. It is a good week to fade Carson and go somewhere else like Le'Veon Bell at a similar price. So I definitely agree with that. But I still think Carson is definitely playable in this. You're not playing any Buccaneers running backs, but you're playing Mike Evans and you're playing Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin, there's a bad taste in people's mouths right now with Godwin, but you play him this week when he might be lower owned.
Yeah, like last week, I was all over the Bucs. Winston, even with 5 turnovers, which is just crazy when you think about it, versus the Titans, he still scored 26 DK points. And he's gone over 300 yards in 3 of his last 4 games. And Seattle is 19th in pass DVOA. So I think they're going to be playing catch-up a lot, and I think Winston's going to be airing it out, man. And I think Godwin and Evans are 2 of the players that weren't really priced up in this game, this slate, sorry. Everybody's priced up, but Evans and Godwin are still cheap. I mean, Evans is averaging 14.5 targets in his last 2 games. He should see heavy volume, like I said, if they're playing catch-up. And Godwin's also at a reasonable price, considering that this is one of the highest totals. So, but the only problem is I feel like you can't play Godwin and Evans together. They just don't have strong correlation. It's one or the other that goes off, which sucks. But I would maybe separate yourself. When you make Tampa Bay stacks and Seattle stacks, I would maybe limit yourself to one Godwin or Evans.
That's solid. Let's move on to Titans and Panthers. Look, the resurgence of this passing attack for the Titans is there, but it's not the best matchup today in Carolina. I think you don't have to play anyone on the Titan side of the ball. Besides Derrick Henry, I think he's decent in this matchup. And then on the other side, we've seen the Panthers the teams have success against the Titans in the passing game in recent weeks here. So if you want to play some pass catchers out there, I think DJ Moore is viable. Curtis Samuel is viable. Greg Olsen, and I would definitely, I'm playing Christian McCaffrey in this.
Absolutely. I mean, Christian McCaffrey finally hit $10,000 on DraftKings, but he's just ridiculous, man. Like, especially in a week that there's so much uncertainty and like we're like playing players in spots that we don't really want to play him. I think you kind of have to try to pay up for McCaffrey. And like you said, I think DJ Moore is definitely viable too. So,
we got Packers and Chargers. The Chargers offense just looks bad in general. Like I said earlier, I think you can play Austin Eckler in this. It just doesn't feel good to play Melvin Gordon at this point, so you just don't do it. He could finally have a good game, but I'm not buying it. Aaron Jones, I would keep riding that hot hand with him on the other side. The Chargers have, they've been okay against – I think they're underperforming as far as their defense goes this year. So I think Aaron Jones, you play him. Devontae Adams, is he playing today? Is he active?
I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
That was the last word I heard that he was active, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be in limited fashion or not, but, I mean, I think you have to play him. There might be other options, but, look, you play Devontae Adams if he's out there.
Yeah, if you have him in season long, it's kind of hard to sit him.
Oh, yeah. No, but I'm talking DFS. Like, I'm definitely looking his way. It's on the road. I do think, like I said earlier, it's going to be more of a defensive game. Like, I could see that happening where, like, there's not a lot of points scored in this game. But still, if he's going to get you over 80% snap, which that's unclear. I don't know if they're going to limit him. I don't think they would if they're going to play him. You think he's ready to go? He's going to get a lot of volume, so he's safe. He's safe for you.
I mean, Devontae Adams, let's be real, he's an $8,000 wide receiver on DraftKings, and he's only $7,100 today. So if you catch him in a full snap rate, I mean, he should absolutely smash that price.
Yeah,
and like you said, the Chargers have been like a huge disappointment defensively. They're 27th in overall DVOA. And I like Aaron Jones. I just kind of feel a little bit that we're chasing his big plays that he's been getting up. I mean, he still splits all the time with Jamal Williams, but I mean, Aaron Jones is really heavily involved in the pass game. I just kind of feel like we're chasing those big plays. I don't mind him at his price, but I just don't know if he's going to pop off like he's been.
Yeah, I mean, it was like he had a 50-yard touchdown reception last week. Like, if that doesn't happen, that line looks a lot different. Of course,
exactly. Yeah,
it's filled up the stat sheet all over the place in the rushing department and through the air. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if a couple plays like that don't happen, then you're disappointed in his week. So that's definitely something to consider. I'm generally staying away from this game. I'm not really excited about anything. Is there anyone that stands out for you in this one?
I think Devontae Adams is good to attack at his price. I don't mind Rodgers, but yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite game either. When we were just talking about Aaron Jones, I mean, I like Le'Veon Bell better for a little bit more. I like Nick Chubb a little bit for a little bit more. So I don't know.
Yeah, let's talk about Nick Chubb and the Browns and Broncos. You're not playing anybody on the Broncos side. I think Phillip Lindsay is all right because of the volume that he'll see. I think that Brandon Allen is going to have to rely on the running game. So Royce Freeman and Lindsay maybe both can be good options for you. But I'm pretty much just staying away from the Broncos. Nick Chubb, very interested. He just keeps being consistent. The 2 fumbles last week hurt you. And the amount of yards that he got for what he gave you in fantasy points, it didn't really correlate, unfortunately. But he's just a workhorse. He's going to get the volume for you. And the Broncos are not very good against the run.
Yeah, Chubb's had at least 20 touches in 5 of his last 6 games. He's gone over 100 yards in 3 of his last 4. And like you said, Denver is a tough defense. They rank 3rd in overall DVOA, but they're susceptible on the ground, ranking 14th in rush DVOA. So I think the spot to attack them is on the ground. And like you said, Chubb is just a workhorse. And $7,300 isn't a bad price at all.
Yeah, it's tough to say that like the Browns would be like super up in this game. I mean, that happening. Yeah. Baker can't really do that right now. He hasn't had more than 1 touchdown pass in any game this year. So I mean, look, you'd be surprised if Baker goes out and throws 3 touchdowns. It could happen. That could be the play that kind of gets you over the hump because nobody's playing Baker Mayfield. No one thinks he's going to do anything. And then all of a sudden this game, he breaks out for 3 touchdowns. It could happen. It's just not likely. So for that reason, I'm skeptical to play OBJ at his price. Jarvis Landry, you don't really need to play him. I'm not really liking too many people from this game.
I don't think Jarvis Landry's bad at, I think his price is $4,500. I don't think he's bad in DraftKings. Yeah, I don't think he's terrible, but I think he lacks upside.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Bills Redskins. It's interesting. I think a lot of people want to attack this game. I'm inclined to agree, but I do think that this could be maybe a little bit sloppy. But Josh Allen, look, I just see a good upside for him. With his ability to run on the ground, he could give you around 50 yards rushing and potentially a touchdown on the ground. He's not going to give you 3 or 4 touchdown passes, unfortunately. That just hasn't been in the repertoire for Josh Allen this year. But yeah, if you want to stack Josh Allen and John Brown, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind it versus the Redskins at all. I mean, Washington is 24th in pass DVOA. But this game's got the lowest total of the week at 37 points, and that's the lowest total of the week by 2 whole points. And 37 is really low when we consider that. So I don't really know if there's a huge upside, but Josh Allen and John Brown are always viable as a stack, I think, especially in a good matchup.
Do you like any of the running backs for Buffalo? I mean, they're both cheap, and they're in a game script that really favors the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills are 11-point favorites, so I don't mind Singletary. I think he's always got upside considering how well he plays when he gets out there. His snap rate went up last week too, so I don't think he's bad for GPPs. Like I said, with Buffalo as 11-point home favorites. So
yeah, I'm with that for sure. Yeah, I'm playing Devin Singletary a lot. I think Frank Gore is just a volume play. Devin Singletary is the boom play for GPPs, like you said.
There you go. Exactly, yeah.
Ty Johnson, Zach Pascal. We saw Zach Pascal get 2 touchdowns in the game where T.Y. Hilton didn't play. I think people are looking back to that and hoping that he can do that. But it could just as easily be Deion Kane this week or Chester Rogers, in my opinion. I don't see Zach Pascal as that guy. Maybe I'm wrong on Pascal. Now we see Ty Johnson with an opportunity. Dude, Trey Carson got put on IR. So now it's just Ty Johnson and J.D. McKissick back there. So I would go Ty Johnson. I think that, you want to go to the running back in this one. You're not really sure what's going to happen against we're with the Colts pass catchers. Like we were talking about earlier, we're more inclined to favor the tight end. So I'll go Ty Johnson. I'll double down. I think a lot of people be scared to play him. I think you play him if that's your decision, Johnson or Pascal. I'll go Ty Johnson.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would probably game on Ty Johnson. I mean, Oakland's the 28th ranked defense in the league. So, and with Trey, like you said, Trey went on IR. So Ty Johnson should see an uptick in volume. I mean, it's definitely risky, but I would probably go with the back over Pascal there.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like the Raiders are actually favored in this game. So we can't say that the game script favors Detroit at all. So,
Yeah, but that might mean more pass volume for Ty Johnson, though. So
hopefully.
Yeah, playing pickup.
They haven't been using the running backs in the pass game at all this year, unfortunately, especially when they had Carry On. We thought he were going to use him. Ty Johnson could be used more. If he is, then you're going to be very happy that you started him today, because 3 or 4 catches would be a nice foundation to what I believe he's going to have, about 10, 12 carries today.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Any game did we miss, Al? I think we got through it all.
Yeah, I think we got through all the main slate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to talk about the players that I'm playing today and kind of justify the reasoning. So cheaper options for you at the wide receiver position. Is there any that you're looking at?
I mean, it's really slim, but like I said, I like DJ Moore. I think Jarvis Landry isn't bad. Robbie Anderson, I definitely think going against Miami, and Mike Williams isn't bad at $4,600. Real quick, we didn't talk about him, but I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't bad.
Revenge game.
Yeah, revenge game. Yeah. The Jets are 21st in pass DVOA, but they're 3rd in rush. So the way to attack him is through the air, and he's only $4,800, and he scored 18 DK points per game in his last 2. So I don't think he's bad at all at that price.
We didn't talk about Jonnu Smith also. I think Jonnu, you keep in that now that Delaney is out again. So 3,800 on DraftKings, just a safe option at that price that you can really save some money on. You mentioned Danny Amendola earlier. I think it's an awesome play at 4,700. What he's done for you the past 2 weeks has been awesome for fantasy. So you keep riding that for sure.
Yeah, overall, I mean, this is a terrible week for tight ends. When you're looking at it like from a DraftKings perspective, this is just terrible for tight ends. So I don't mind Jonnu Smith at $3,800 at all. But but Carolina is a tough pass defense. I mean, they rank 3rd in pass DVOA, so it is a scary matchup.
Definitely. No, I agree with that. All right. You can find us every week here on Expand the Box Score. We do the Flex or Fade at noon. I'm here with Al always, and we got our pick and roll episodes coming for you. You can check that out on Expand the Box Score, Spotify, iTunes. Subscribe over there, please. We give you all the DFS and season-long basketball every week. And then Al has the DraftKings articles coming out every day for basketball. And then he's here with me on Sundays. Before we get out here, Al?
Just be on the lookout for my NBA picks. They're on Expand the Box Score, my DraftKings NBA picks. Like you said, more pick and roll episodes, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Sounds good. Yeah, please do check out my articles on fanball.com. I'm doing rankings every week over there, kind of get you ready for your season or for your week. Good luck this week, guys. Hit us up on Twitter if you have any questions. We will see you next time.